to return some videotapes.
A couple days ago, Christian Bale had his birthday, and he is indeed my favorite actor of all time. And because of that, I thought I would make a video of my top 10 favorite Christian Bale movies of all time. This isn't necessarily my favorite movies in a sense of story and production and writing, direction, all of that type of stuff, special effects. This is my favorite performances of him. If I were to give you my top 10 favorite Christian Bale movies, it would look a lot different than the list I'm about to present to you. Now, this is obviously, of course, very personal and centered to me. A lot of the roles he has done has inflicted a lot of my decisions to do what I'm doing today, making content about film on YouTube and wanting to get into this industry. And certain movies that I've gotten into over my life, a lot are based off of his particular characters he has played in movies. Now, if we were to actually dive into every role specifically that he's ever done, I'm sure the list would obviously look different. There are probably roles he has done that are better than others. The thing about Christian Bale, though, is I don't think he has one bad acting movie. Every movie he's done, in my opinion at least, is gold. Even if the movie isn't fantastic, you do know at the end of the day that he will give you a good performance. The reason why I love Christian Bale and Leonardo DiCaprio and a couple of other actors like this is mainly because they take movies and roles that aren't just gonna make money. They don't care about that. They would rather perfect their craft and do isolated stories than have to do all of these big budget money making machines. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing that. Of course, business is business, and if you're into that type of stuff, you're gonna do it. But with guys like them, I just like that they are very character driven and frankly story driven. But a lot of the movies that Christian Bale has done has been based more off of the character development side and story building, and very isolated to one story with no sequels or third or fourth or fifth type of movies. And many of his movies, like I said, are the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing today and want to grow in this industry further. So let's get into my list. But hey, you know what to do. This list was incredibly hard to make because I could have made a top 40 list and every role is good with every single movie he's ever done. But for number 10, I'm placing The Machinist. Now, I know a lot of people would probably put The Machinist in his top 3 roles of all time, and that is completely fair. Once again, this is very personal to me, and The Machinist as a movie is not a movie that connects to me deeply, or I didn't even really love The Machinist, but there is one thing I loved. It was Christian Bale and his really unflattering, awkward, very uncomfortable, and strange performance in that movie. You could not watch one scene of him in that film without cringing or, like I just said, feeling uncomfortable. That was the job, and he executed it perfectly, especially too, if the rumor is true. What was it? He lost 80 pounds and he was only supposed to lose 70, or he lost 90 pounds and he was only supposed to lose 80, something like that. Regardless, a lot of goddamn weight. No one his age at the time and his size should have been losing weight to that point. But I mean, this is the thing about Christian Bale. He has the most bodily transformations in Hollywood industry. No one has done it like him. He's done it so much that he recently, about a year or two ago, said that he has to stop taking roles like that because the older he gets, the more damaging to your body it's going to be, and just frankly, not healthy. If you are going to get deep into these types of movies and these types of roles, you gotta give a round of applause to Christian Bale for pulling something off like that. At number 9, I have to put Hostiles. Now, this is interesting because I've only watched this film one time, but in that one time of watching it, Bale's performance captivated me so much. Essentially, he's just playing a very famous army captain who has to escort an Indian chief through dangerous territory. It takes place in the 1890s. But like I said, and it's not going to be the last time you hear this, his transformation into roles is next level. When you look at Army General from the 1800s, you just need to wear the right costume, have the right facial hair, the hair, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to necessarily lose or gain weight all the time. And he didn't have to do that. But the thing I'll point out about his role in this was simply like his mustache. After seeing how he looked in this movie, I don't know if there was anyone else who could have potentially done the role the way he did. And you just throughout the entire film get this feeling that back then there was a lot of prejudices to the native people. The movie on its own was capable of capturing that really well. But what was great is that Christian Bale's character had those prejudices, but he realized that he has to put that behind him because there's no place for that in the world that will continue to grow, or at least there shouldn't be any. But overall, he just captured what I think an army general would have looked, sounded, and have been like back then. Okay, at number 8, I'm putting The Prestige. Now, like I said, if this was a list of my favorite Christian Bale movies, this list would look different because The Prestige would be much higher. But based off of his performances, there are just so many of his roles he's done that are far too good that this has to go to 8. But that's not even a bad thing because everything he does is gold. This is just gold number 8. The reason why Christian Bale's performance in this film hits me so hard is mainly because by this time I was probably 10, 11, and when I saw this movie, Batman was very close to my heart, and I saw Batman Begins as a kid, and knowing Christian Bale played him, watching this movie made me love Christian Bale even more. And now that throughout the years I've gone back and watched this movie countless times, he plays such a good job at being a liar. You could say that socially through dialogue sequences in this film that this is one of Christian Bale's more normalized roles he's done, but a lot of the times his character has a lack of dialogue, and that is, acting and screenwriting and directing 101. The more silence there is, there's actually more being said. Sometimes you just don't need dialogue to get points across or emotions or actions, and there are a lot of times in this film where Christian Bale has kind of those silent moments, and that's what makes this role so good is these two magicians are trying to outwit each other. You're trying to figure out who's going to win in the end, and then at the end you essentially find out that Christian Bale wins in such a high fashion, something you wouldn't really expect. Also too though, The Prestige is responsible for getting me into the genre of mystery and thriller, and Christian Bale's role in that film certainly helped. All right, at number 7, I'm putting Ford vs. Ferrari. In all honesty, a movie I didn't really think I'd put up here, but his portrayal as Ken Miles in this film is far too good. He looks like him, he sounds like him, he walks like him, he acts like him, and obviously that's exactly what you would want when you're portraying someone from real life, but there's no denying the extent of greatness he portrayed it at. This is also another movie where he does go through another bit of a bodily transformation. If you can tell from other films or just in his daily life, if he's doing interviews or whatever else, he certainly does look like he lost a little bit of weight. This is also a film that I probably would have watched even if Christian Bale wasn't in it, but the fact that he was in it sold it for me. And then when watching it, seeing how brilliantly he portrayed Ken Miles just made it all the better. Now at number 6, I'm putting The Fighter. And honestly, I've only seen this movie one time, and I don't know too much of the actual story in real life. And to be quite honest with you, I don't fully remember this movie scene by scene. It's been so long since I've watched it, but this movie needs to be on the list because I do once again remember at least watching it and loving Bale's performance. I actually specifically remember seeing this movie, and after seeing it, I said, if Christian Bale does not win supporting actor for this film, there's a problem. And he did go on to win supporting actor at the Oscars. First of all, how Christian Bale doesn't have more than one Oscar, I don't know. Doesn't really make sense to me. There are tons of movies on this list that he should have won Oscars for. But there is a great scene I do remember from the film where he's fake sparring with some of his druggy friends in his trap house, and he's like reliving the good old days of when he used to box, and then he started smoking out of a plastic water bottle. That whole sequence was just really, really good. For whatever reason, that is a scene that has stuck with me, and I just remember how fantastic he was. And by the way, I'm just remembering that Amy Adams is in this film. How many movies have Bale and Adams been in together? Like 8? Now, heading into my top 5, I'm doing Empire of the Sun at number 5. This movie is so awesome. It's not often when child actors are great. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're decent, sometimes they're bad. Some are great, some have had great childhood performances. Christian Bale, you know what? How old was he in this movie? So Bale was born in 1974, and Empire of the Sun came out in 1987. So he was about 13 years old, probably was filming the movie at the age of 12. He had one of the best performances I have ever seen a child have in a movie. When I watched Empire of the Sun, I was about 15. I remember this specifically. I was really big into his movies at this point, and I could not believe I was watching a 13-year-old Christian Bale put on one of the best performances that some adults can't even do. Empire of the Sun, his performance in that film, he should have already been recognized as, okay, we want this kid in everything. He was awesome. At number 4, I'm putting Vice. When I was making this list, I was probably going to put Vice around maybe 8 or 9, maybe even 10, but I had to jump it up all the way to 4. Not only did this movie simply give me a little more insight on the world of politics, even though I'm not much of a political guy, I don't really have much interest in that type of stuff, but mainly this is about acting and Christian Bale, and man, is it hard to tell sometimes that is Christian Bale. I actually made a video about this film a couple months ago, and mainly about Christian Bale. I'll tag it in the video if you want to check it out to see what I have to say. But there are times in this film where I'm forgetting I'm watching Christian Bale. It almost does look like Dick Cheney just came out and said, yeah, I want to get into acting. And once again, absolute body transformation. I cannot believe the lengths he went to make sure he literally was Dick Cheney. I can't stress enough how accurate he looks. If you have not watched this film and aren't into politics like I am, trust me, watch it for him. Hell, watch it for Sam Rockwell and Steve Carell. They play great roles too. Even, once again, Amy Adams, another movie they're in together. Watch it for her, watch it for the actors, watch it for Christian Bale. At number 3, I am putting Batman Begins. And mainly, this movie ranks so high, obviously, because as you all know, I am a massive Batman fan. But I also feel like Christian Bale has portrayed what I believe Bruce Wayne to be. A very troubled and undisciplined man with a lot of mental issues. You see a lot of the injustices he has to witness in his life and how he thinks that the answer is revenge, but it's actually justice, the opposite of injustice. Bruce Wayne to me too is always a guy who goes to parties and gets drunk, always has a drink in his hand, maybe a glass of champagne, acts like a fool, has a ton of ladies with him. But really, he's not getting drunk. He's not even drinking. It's not champagne. It's ginger ale. And in reality, he's just putting on a front so no one could connect the idea of him being Batman. This movie did that for me. Christian Bale was Bruce Wayne. I believed it without a doubt. He has probably played, to me, the most accurate Bruce Wayne I have ever seen. And then his portrayal as Batman in this film is really, really good because he doesn't just become Batman and he's immediately a legend. This is obviously the direction of Christopher Nolan and the writing as well, but Bale did a great job of selling us the idea that yes, he is Batman, but he's still young, he's brand new to it, and he's learning. This is a Batman who is still making mistakes, but gets better from every mistake he makes, and I felt that every step of the way. All right, at number 2, I have American Psycho. The fact that Christian Bale does not have an Oscar for this movie makes me so mad. So mad. He is so good in this film. This film found a way to be the funniest crime drama horror movie of all time. This movie also is responsible for broadening some of the genres I watch. You know, obviously when you're younger, you only want to watch things that are entertaining, like superheroes and action and adventure. This movie got me into all genres, and mainly what it was Christian Bale's acting performance. There are some beautiful scenes in this movie with dialogue and just face shots. 3 that come to mind right now is the business cards, when all of them are trying to up one another with who's got the nicest business card. The other one is when Christian Bale is chasing the chick in the stairwell and drops the chainsaw down the stairwell, covered in blood, and he's just screaming. The third scene I can think of is when he breaks up with Reese Witherspoon in the restaurant and she creates a scene. The famous "I need to return some videotapes" line. Even nearing the end of the film when he's admitting to his crimes and he's on the phone and he's hysterical. Everything he did in this movie was pure perfection. He deserves a lifetime of Oscars for the fact that he didn't win an Oscar for this movie. Christian Bale's performance in this movie, in my opinion, has to go down as one of the top 10 performances of all time. Okay, guys, at number 1, I think you all know what it's going to be. The Dark Knight. It is hard for me not to put The Dark Knight as my number 1 Christian Bale movie of all time when it comes to acting. It's hard for me not to put this movie on any top 10, 5, 3 list of all times. A lot of people are going to say, well, the acting you want to see in this movie is Heath Ledger. And you're absolutely correct with that. The reason why this is number 1 for me for Christian Bale's acting career, there's a couple of reasons. 1, huge Batman fan. This is going to be number 1 in everything. I could watch this movie every single day and not get tired of it. 2, I was just at that age of diving headfirst into all comic book knowledge and Batman and Superman and all that stuff. So for me, this hit home with me. I was absolutely in love with everything Batman. I still am to this day, but that hit me hard when it came out. Not to mention, it's probably the best superhero movie ever made. And number 3, it's the movie as a whole, but it's Christian Bale's performance as Batman that to this day is flying under the radar when a lot of people talk about this movie. But for me, it's his performance that made me want to get into this industry. If it wasn't for that movie and if it wasn't for his performance as Batman, I don't think I would be here right now making YouTube videos or making this video for you all in general. I made that comment about the Batman Begins on how he's learning to be Batman, and even though the whole idea of Batman is sometimes he's gonna make mistakes mentally or physically because he is human, he's always going to come back and better himself 10 times over. This is what The Dark Knight was for me. He was no longer Bruce Wayne, he was Batman. And when you read or watch or play a Batman game, at the end of the day, you have to realize Bruce Wayne does not think he's Bruce Wayne. His actual persona is Batman. Bruce Wayne is a decoy. It's a fake. He doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne. He is literally Batman. And that is what I got from Christian Bale in this movie. Even though we had moments of him where he essentially thought he had to give it up because Gotham didn't need Batman anymore. He came around to it at the end and realized, no, I am Batman. Without me, there is no city and there is no Batman, which is who I truly am. I can't fully describe what this movie means to me, but what Christian Bale's performance as Batman and Bruce Wayne in the movie means to me, and just simply what Christian Bale means to me as a fan of acting, a fan of film, and someone who wants to get into this. It's just beautiful. But here you have it, guys. This was my top 10 list of Christian Bale's best performances. I would love to know what you guys think of this list, or maybe you have a list of your own. Maybe you even have a list of your favorite actors. Let me know where Christian Bale lands in it if he so indeed does. Let me know what some of your favorite Christian Bale moments or movies are. But that's it for this one, everyone. Can't wait to see Christian Bale in more movies and to see what he has in store for us, because he's always going to put on a good role. And until next time, I will talk to you all very soon. I'm Batman.
Where were the other drugs going?
I never knew. I don't know. I swear to God.
Swear to me!
I don't know. I never knew. Never. They went to some guy for a couple of days before they went to the dealer.
Why?
There was something else in the drugs. Something hidden.
What?
I never went to the drop-off point. It was in the Narrows. Cops only go there when they're in force.
Do I look like a cop?